So the purpose of the introduction is to orient the reader. So we're letting them know what the report's going to be about. So we're pointing them in the right direction. And we've got to motivate the reader. So why is this important? So why should they walk the journey of reading this report and getting into it? So they're the two key outcomes. And orienting the reader is really sort of making sure we've got a clear aim, that they know what we're trying to do, what we're talking about. And we're motivating the reader. We're going to certainly try and do that in our brief context, the background information that we give them. So you can see in our hourglass that the introduction is quite broad to capture the big picture that will then sort of narrow into. Now, introductions are often combined with literature reviews, where we haven't done that. But as you read literature, you'll often see that there's really just the introduction is just riddled with references, in-text references, every sentence, because the introduction is combined with the literature review. And that's fairly typical. Some articles will separate them, but often they'll be together. So you'll see by the end of our introduction, we're actually just going straight into methods. So you'll also see that a lot. It's not that they haven't done a literature review or an introduction, but they're typically sort of combined. So the fact that we are separating them, and you've done a separate literature review, is really why the introduction in this report is going to be quite brief. So there are two main things we're going to do. Firstly, we're going to set the context. Okay, so the context is the background. So start by setting the general context. This is like the biggest picture, but try and be concise. You're only going to get one or two sentences to introduce the big topic, really about climate change. Then you're going to set a slightly more focused context, quickly narrow it to the topics that you're going to cover in your study. So that would be maybe something about home electricity use, and/or it'd be great if you could get both in, your career area as well. And then that's setting the context, the background. So this is the model report. So the first two sentences or so really set the scene that this is, remember the topic of the model report is beach litter. So this is talking about the pollution on the beaches. It's a global problem. And the main mechanism here, which we're acknowledging, is that it's mainly from oceans transporting rubbish. And so then in the introduction, we start to focus it in on littering by local beach users, so local littering, exacerbates the problem. So that's actually starting to focus in now on what the model report is about. So there's a slight narrowing there. And then we talk about, just after that, how this impacts beach quality, environmental health, human health risks, and that these consequences are increasing in severity and frequency. So there's some motivation that this problem's getting worse as well. So that's setting the context and the background, then narrowing it down and giving the reader some motivation as well. So we set the context, the background. Now we want to move on to the aim. So this is a critical part of the introduction, as we clearly state the aim of the study. There's different ways you can do that, but we want one sentence at the end that really crisply identifies your purpose. So you could say the purpose of this report was to, or is to, identify, for example, specific risks to housing affordability resulting from the government's proposed policy. Obviously, your purpose will be tailor-made for what our report's about. And you can use the word aim as well. The aim of this study was to, so for example, to determine, so this is a two-part purpose, to determine, and a nice clear verb, determine the effect that Easter has on rates of dental cavities, holes in teeth among children, and discuss, so we've got and, a two-part, and another clear verb, to discuss the implications for increased dental costs for average families. The verbs here are important because determines tells me that they're probably going to be evaluating data or maybe generating data. Discuss suggests that they're going to just be looking at the implications. So that second part's probably more of maybe a desktop study or just a discussion of So choose your verbs. Another possible way to introduce your purpose or your aim is to just say this investigation focused on the research question, and then you could state your research question if you like. So however you choose to do it, we just want to make sure that we have clearly defined what the aim of our study is. So the model report finishes by saying this report will investigate the types and amounts of litter on an Australian beach and discuss the opportunities for lawyers in promoting solutions to this problem. I now know what the topic is about. I know exactly what the aim of this study is, and I'm also motivated to read it. Okay, thanks guys.